I think I'm in love again. With Midjourney, that is. Yeah, Midjourney's always been my preferred AI art generator, and now they've released version 6. Well, sort of. Version 6 alpha. And we're going to take a look at it and see what the fundamental difference is between version 5. So without further ado, let's get on with it. So anyone who watches my channel will know I am a big fan of Midjourney. I've always loved the imagery and the art style. Midjourney, of all the AI art generators, has this sort of very specific art style. It's sort of varied and gone up and down slightly through the different versions. And version 5 was good. It's never quite as photorealistic as I think it used to be. But now they released version 6, which is much more photorealistic and sort of back to the kind of photorealism that we were used to. But I would say with more character, and I'll show you what I mean. So if we take a look at some examples that I did on version 5. So this is a very stylistic prompt that I borrowed from somebody, as I love to borrow prompts. And this prompt had its own seed. Now, I used the same prompt without that seed for the Midjourney version 6, and you'll see the difference. Okay, so this was version 5, very stylistic, very artistic. Again, it was based on the seed. In fairness, version 6 doesn't allow that seed because that seed came from version 5. But this was the same prompt, other than the seed, for version 6. This is the version 6 alpha. Much more gritty and more photoreal, and there's more character in the face. They're not sort of necessarily idealistic. There's imperfections in the skin and stuff. I particularly like this one here, and look at the hair. The kind of, you know, the realism in the hair here is really, really good, and the lighting, and obviously the bokeh effect of the lens here down in a subway. Really, really cool. And then I've enhanced this one as well. And you can see, I mean, look at this sort of hair. The hair is slightly messy, as though, I don't know, you're in the subway or whatever. Again, this sort of skin imperfections. Really, really cool. So let's have a look at fundamentally what the changes are on Midjourney version 6. Basically, to turn it on, you go into the settings, either by /settings or at the end of your prompt, put --V6 there. I've gone into the settings and just defaulted it to version 6. What's new with the V6 base model? Much more accurate prompt following, as well as longer prompts. So they've gone back to the much more detailed prompts. Improved coherence and model knowledge, improved image prompting and remix. Minor text drawing ability. So now Midjourney does text, which has always been an issue. And as a quick example here, we'll do some examples, but I'll show you. You see here, I put in Lord Kensal, my gamer tag, and look, it got it perfectly right. Misspelling here on that one there, and an extra L there, and maybe an extra R there. But generally, look at this, Lord Kensal. It's getting the text pretty good, actually. And this, for me, is a fundamental step forward for Midjourney. Let's go back to the main points of what makes Midjourney version 6. This is version 6 alpha, ladies and gentlemen. So you need to put the text in inverted commas like hello world. Improved upscalers with both subtle and creative. So it's not like a ×4 now. The increases resolution are by 2, but you can put subtle and creative. And then a few arguments you could put at the end there. These features are not yet supported, so you can't do pan, zoom, vary, or tune, or describe. That will be in the new version 6, when it's launched. As I said, this is version 6 alpha. It could fundamentally change, they say. Prompting with V6 is significantly different than V5. You will need to relearn how to prompt. What's going to be interesting is me reusing the prompts that I've collected over a long period of time to see how they turn out. I'm very curious. V6 is much more sensitive to your prompt. So avoid junk like award-winning, photorealistic 4K, 8K, i.e. don't be too generic, be much more precise. Be explicit about what you want. It may be less vibey, but if you're explicit, it's now much better at understanding you. If you want something more photographic, less opinionated, more literal, you should probably default using Style Raw. I didn't use Style Raw on these. on these ones here, and yet I think it's come out really, really well. Please note, this is an alpha test. This will change frequently and without notice. So it could vary, results could vary as they, adapt and change and get feedback. And V6 is slower and more expensive, but it will get faster as they optimize it. And the interesting thing here is V6 is our third model trained from scratch on our AI superclusters. It's been in the work for 9 months. It isn't the final step, but we hope you'll feel the progression of something profound that deeply intertwines with the powers of collective imaginations. They're very good. Again, be respectful, don't be a dick when you're creating images and stuff like that. Anyway, I think it's time to experiment. So let's go. Let's start with taking an old image that I've tried. Again, if you want to know the settings, just typing settings here, and then you can select here in the box. You can either carry on using the default mode, which is version 5.2, or the version 6 alpha. So it is in alpha, as I keep stressing. Okay, then we put imagine. Let's try this prompt. Okay, so it's quite wordy. I took this prompt was generated, I think, by either ChatGPT or something like that. Okay, in the midst of a cityscape with neon lights and ancient temples, a black and white photograph of a Japanese woman emerges. Okay, so last time it was quite artistic and stylistic. Let's see if we get a more photorealistic one this time round. Okay, so this is what we've got. Very stylistic with kind of paint splatters, the black and white photography here, as we described. There's character in the faces. Look at the frowns here, on the wrinkles on the frown here as he frowns there. Really, really kind of interesting and photoreal. I love the kind of paint splodges on here. If we look again at the prompt, in the midst of a cityscape with neon lights and ancient temples, a black and white photograph of a Japanese woman emerges. Her eyes reflect stories of cherry blossoms and lantern festivals. The faded traditional kimono she wears speaks of tea ceremonies, yet bursts of contemporary artistry, so like this modern art, neon pinks, electric blues, overlay parts of the image. So I was thinking I was going for sort of a modern art, sort of almost collage type thing. Not a collage, just sort of, taking the old photographs and then sort of adding kind of some modern media over the top, like sort of paint to kind of create something new. I've got some existing artwork, which is sort of along these lines by a kind of a UK artist. There's Japanese art by taking old Japanese photographs and then sort of, putting modern things on top and stuff like that. So it's sort of like that. I really like it. I think these are great images, actually. Really, really cool. Let's go for something again. So I borrowed another prompt here. This is a prompt by Techhala here. And it's basically these kind of crazy animal ones here. The prompt is trendy Kodachrome shot of an animal running through the location, dark and explosive style, background, hyper realistic. So there's words in here, bold, lithographic, burn, charred. There's some words in here, which again are quite kind of wide and generic, that the new version 6, in terms of prompting, is saying it doesn't want to see realistic detail. So we'll see what it comes up with. I'm taking the tiger one. So again, let's go for the tiger one. It's not all about Japanese women, honestly. I don't have an obsession. This one's got a specific style in it. I'm going to keep it in as is, and we'll see what happens. Again, you can see here, much more photorealistic, which I prefer than the slightly kind of more arty style that version 5 seemed to have. I mean, look at those colors. I mean, look at this fella here, down on the bottom here. Really bold, bright colors. Really, really nice. If we looked at the original prompt, these are much more painterly, which I quite like. It's very painterly style. And version 6 is configured to be much more photorealistic in its sort of default position. So if you put in something, it's going to, unless you force it, it's going to come up with something much more photorealistic, which is what we're getting, as you can see with these. Much more photorealistic in its style compared to the original prompt in version 5, as you can see. I mean, look at the detail in here. Really, really cool. The paws are all okay. Yeah, really great. Really nice. I like that. Going back to my borrowed prompts again, Let's try this one. This is from Pierrick Chevalier. Hope I said his name right. Pierrick Chevalier. Let's take this prompt. Yeah, let's go for a game controller. Again, it's got things like 8K, 3D, bold, words which the version 6 advice says, it doesn't want to see really, wants more kind of complex and more detailed prompts. Anyway, let's see what it comes up with. So here is the original photograph, very stylistic, very artistic. Again, I'm expecting a much more photoreal version of this prompt. So let's have a look, and you'll see here straight away. I mean, if we look at some of the detail on here, especially on this controller down here, much more photorealistic. Yes, it's the stylistic because of the actual prompt request, which if we look here is light flares in the background, innovating text, overexposure effects, streaked, speed, motion, contest winner. I mean, I don't know quite what that nonsense is, but hey, it's creating a great image. But the original version of this, much more stylistic. But the new version 6 alpha, I would argue, much more photorealistic. So borrowing another example here, this is from a guy called Kenzai, not Kenzel, not Lord Kenzel, Kenzai at Digital Kenzai. And it's two samurais fighting here, dynamic duo of samurais clash, neo-expressionist masterpiece of Crimson Obsidian. It's very painterly in its description, neo-expressionist masterpiece, very descriptive of a much more artistic, painterly style. So it'll be interesting to see what the prompt in version 6 comes up with. Again, I've used it here. Image seems a lot smaller. Okay, I would argue it's gone even more painterly. I mean, look at this. Look at the oil. This is an oil paint. You can see the texture of the oil paint. I would argue it is much more realistic in terms of being a realistic oil painting. I mean, this is really cool. I was expecting it to be more photoreal, but the prompting has caused it to be neo-expressionistic. So, these sort of dashes of oil paint here just sort of mucked on there. I mean, you can see the detail in the brush strokes there. Very dynamic, really cool. I like this. It feels like it's been, created by an artist, ironically enough, as ever. Look, there's a little artistic signature down in the corner, but really, really cool. I would argue that this is even more artistic than these, which were great, but you don't have that kind of texture. This is much more saying, okay, here is a neo-expressionistic painting full of color and vibrancy. Whereas this is saying almost this is an actual recreation of the painting, including the paint texture. Really, really cool. I like that. That's very interesting. It's the photorealism in a way, or the realism that's kind of given it much more detail and grounded it in a much more art style with its, with its brushstrokes and all of that. I know I keep mentioning that, but just really, really impressive. Okay, next prompt. Okay, so these are really cool prompts here. Again, a very, very specific artistic style. This is from Pazzulo, Natural AI Insights. Spice up the cuteness with Niji urban graffiti art. So they put this in the Niji style. I don't think you necessarily have that in version 6, but we can try. Let's have a look at this one then, a Super Mario. Let's take this. Let us see whether Niji, Niji style works. But the Niji style, if you don't know, is a much more anime-based style. So you're forcing it to be, have a kind of manga anime style if you put Niji at the end. But I'm not sure whether the version 6 allows that. We will soon see. Let's go. Okay, it seems to have accepted Niji 5. While we're doing that, let's just see what it says about that on the version 6 notes. So it doesn't say not yet supported. I think Niji takes it out of version 6 and uses the Niji style. I might be wrong, but I think that's what actually happens. So we'll see. Let's see what the prompt comes up with. I mean, really cool. I like this one here. They're kind of cool, aren't they? I do like them, but I think the Niji, in the Niji prompt is taking it out of the version 6. That's interesting. I wonder if let's do that prompt again, but let's without the Niji 5 and see what happens. Let's pick one of them. Let's reversion number 2. Let's just take out the Niji 5 style and submit. Okay, we'll see what happens. Whether it now defaults back to the version 6 alpha. Okay, so it actually makes it more sort of like his face is much more cartoony, interestingly enough, slightly less menacing, but there's a lot more clarity. I mean, if you look behind him here, yeah, this is sort of a CGI version of it. So arguably more photorealistic because it's not a real person. I hate to break it to you, Maro's not a real person. But you know what I mean? So it has much more of a CG rendered, CG hyper-realistic render. I mean, look at the shine on his arm here. This one's painterly. Got blonde hair here. Oh, he's got lots of blonde hair there. Very weird. Some of these are more painterly, but this is a much more like a rendered CG character. Really cool, though. I quite like what it's done. I quite like mixing up the artistic styles and sort of forcing it into a photographic, realistic photographic style and seeing what you get. I like to do one of me, oddly enough. So let's try and create something like me. Let's base it on something I've done previously. Let's do that. Okay, so these are old ones I did before. A bald man in his 30s. With short trimmed beard, square glasses, looking surprised and pointing to his right. Whiplash line. So I was going very cartoony, almost like GTA style art, that kind of line drawing around the outside. But we're going to go for this. Again, it's a very distinct artistic style, and I'm asking version 6 alpha, which is trained to be a photorealistic style. So it'll be interesting to see what they've got. It's pop art inspired portraits, Adrian Tamine, colorful abstracted faces, blah, 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 blah. Again, it's got the version 6 there. Actually, that's what I should have checked. Yeah, Niji 5. It's not version 6. So I was right on that Niji 5 element there. It takes it out of the version 6. Okay, so this is quite interesting. It's like there's much more detail. And even though it's gone for a painterly style here, you can see the sort of different colors in the texture of the skin, in the sort of shading of the skin here and here. It's gone for a much more almost sort of realistic face and detailed skin tones, but whilst retaining that original artistic style. I quite like that. Let's have a look at that. That's quite interesting. Fat is much more of a man in his 30s. I should do it in his 40s. The reason I put a man in his 30s is because if I do a man in his 50s, comes up with a man, in my view, looks like he's in his 60s or 70s, okay? Because that's generic man. I do not consider myself to look like that. So I start with man in his 30s and then move up until I kind of think I hit the right age. I mean, look, is that me? Do I look like that? Anyway, I've put my finger there. This is the original style, much more clean and a lot less tonal in terms of the different colors used. I'd arguably artistically much cleaner, but I do find this much more interesting. And it's almost like somebody's painted on a photo. They've taken a photo and then, changed all the colors and textures into kind of much more cartoony, artistic style textures and colors. Maybe used a computer just to go and change all the colors from realistic colors to more kind of artistically chosen colors. And even the background here as well, the painting style, the artistic choices, the brush strokes, you see them. I quite like this style, actually. I quite like what it's done. Okay, one more for the road, as they say. In fact, while I do this, I hope you're liking this content. So please do hit subscribe if you're new to my channel. I intend to do much more Midjourney prompts based on the massive collection of prompts that I've kind of collected over the last year or so. And I'd love to share them with you and get your thoughts on it. So look out for videos where I just do a load of artistic kind of Midjourney prompting, and maybe we can all learn together and find new creative and imaginative styles and stuff like that. Anyway, as I say, on to the next one. Okay, so the next one I'm going to do is these really cool, funny selfies. I think they work really well. A sort of unbelievable, this is a selfie with a T-Rex and it's sort of really captured it. But again, look at the faces, almost perfect, flawless, and the teeth and stuff like that. So let's see what version 6 can do. Let me just save that up there with this prompt. Again, it's got some words in there that does, prefer you didn't use. It's not a long prompt. I'm using version 5 prompts in version 6, and it's saying it's very different. But I'm liking the clash of styles almost. So hyper-realistic. Yeah, let's take out that. Don't need that. Right, hyper-realistic GoPro. Let's go. See what they come up with on this one. Okay, here we go then. So taking some of it literally, she's holding a GoPro in this one. It's cool though. It's a shame because I love the way he's leering, behind her here. Again, there's detail in the faces, which are quite interesting again. But again, the prompt specifically says glamorous influencer. So you can guarantee the influencer has got a filter on, of course. But this was the original one, flawless faces here. And this is the version 6 one. There's much more character and detail in the face. Yeah, you can see the difference. I think, these are great, the version 5 ones. Really dynamic. I love the way the dinosaurs are coming at you. I don't know why they're in the water. Maybe because, I don't know. Don't know why they're in the water. Perfect teeth, all of that. This one, again, perfect teeth. But look at the hair here. Feels like she's on, at least they feel on the right location sort of thing. Yeah, really cool. Look at these sort of influencer sunglasses. Can you see the reflection of somebody taking a photograph? Expect to see her arm. Yeah, look at a big smile. But you can see this sort of texture in the skin and stuff like that you don't get here. These are good, but they're flawless. But here, look at the shades, the shadow, the texture, the sunlight coming through here, sort of bleaching out the photograph there, overexposure of the sun behind them. The T-Rex looks all right on all of them. If we go back to here, look like you've got like a furry T-Rex. It's taking some of the fur of her coat. They've all got, like she's in the snow. She's in the water, doesn't make any sense. And I don't know, she's in water. Yeah. And they look much more like almost photoshopped on because they haven't got they haven't combined the texture and shadow or the effect of the light bouncing off the T-Rex or bouncing off her head onto the T-Rex, etc. Whereas here, they don't feel so photoshopped. Look at this one here. So there you go. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you found it useful. I am back in love again with Midjourney. I'm loving that they've gone back to a much more photorealistic style. I was always blown away when I first used Midjourney version 4 and it's kind of photorealism. I remember showing somebody who didn't really understand AI and they just couldn't get their head around the fact that it wasn't a real person. And certainly that's what we're getting with some of these images. Going back to the original images on the subway here, unbelievably good. As I said, the pores in the face, the textures, the wrinkles, all of that, really, really cool. Anyway, as I said, I hope you found it interesting. I hope you found it useful. If you did, then please hit the likes because I like it, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find content like this. And if you're new to my channel, then please do me the great favor, arigato gozaimasu, hit that subscriber button, toggle that notification bell, and that way you'll know when I upload videos just like this. Talking videos just like this, why don't you check out the videos over here? These ones here. Thanks for watching.